What is up everyone, and welcome to some more F1 22 My Team career mode. Last time out we were at the Azerbaijan Grand Prix and two safety cars helped us get back into that race a little bit. At one point we looked like we might even win it, but in the end the Red Bulls were just too fast and we fell down the order to P3. But we still got a good podium finish there, and even better than that, on one of the safety car restarts, on the first safety car restart, Charles Leclerc crashed in to Christian Lundgaard, and that meant that he had damage, had to pit. It caused another safety car, it moved him outside of the points. So we had a massive swing back in the championship in my favour. We're still slightly behind Charles Leclerc in the World Championship, but all in all, we have a real opportunity to get back at him here at the Canadian Grand Prix. Not one of my strongest circuits typically, but if I can get some good pace in the car quite quickly, we could be looking at something really quite good. But the first thing we need to do before anything is practice. If we can get a good practice session here, if I can get the setup optimized, I think we could be in for a really good opportunity in qualifying, and maybe even be looking at sort of top 3. I think would be the ideal scenario for a place like this. If I can qualify top 3, then that maximizes my chance of competing with Leclerc in the race, and hopefully we can finish ahead of him. We're also going to be keenly casting an eye over the progress of our teammate Théo Pourchaire, who finishes P12 in practice as we finish P3. It's actually very close between me and Gasly and Verstappen, and we're just slightly behind them, but only by a few hundredths of a second. And if we can carry that kind of pace through into qualifying, we will be looking very good. Théo Pourchaire, I hope, will make a few improvements over the course of the qualifying session, but he hasn't disappointed me so far this season, so I'm hoping that he won't do the same in this race. Yeah, we're going to be casting an eye over how well he's been doing, because he was our saving grace a couple races ago in Monaco. We had a very, very poor race that time out, and he basically did everything he could to maximize our potential of scoring points in that race. So if he can score some good points here, and we can score some good points here as well, we could be looking at making a major recovery in the Constructors' Championship as well. We're currently sat in P3, I believe, after that previous race, in no small part due to the fact that Red Bull got a 1-2, which caused them to jump us in the World Championship. So if we can get a good result here, we could potentially get back ahead of Red Bull. We're also closing down Ferrari because they had a pretty poor result in Baku and in Monaco, so they've dropped a lot of points in the championship recently. It was only P7 and P8 in Monaco, and then neither driver scored points in Baku, much like the Azerbaijan Grand Prix in real life in 2022, when I believe Ferrari had a double DNF, mechanical failure on both cars. Our second lap we're now looking at of Q1, and we make a couple of tenths improvement over our first lap, and that is good enough in the end for a 1:09.6, and that puts us overall P8. So that is a good result for us. We're through to Q2, but we still need to find some more pace if we want to make it through to Q3. You know, the track evolves here quite quickly, so if we do that kind of lap again, we're going to be in trouble. 5 tenths off the leaders, but crucially we were pretty close to Charles Leclerc. He's who I care about more than anything, although you might remember in the previous video I also said that just because Leclerc is not scoring points, it doesn't mean that other drivers behind me in the championship aren't scoring points. And if I don't keep my wits about me, I could find myself suddenly supplanted by one of the many drivers behind us in the championship, as our first lap on a used set of soft compound tyres is a 1:10.1. It's not going to be good enough for us to get through. No hesitation there. I'm sure we need to go again, and we do, and we improve by a fair amount. It's about 6 or 7 tenths as we come up to the line here, so this should be good enough to get us through to Q3. You would think. It's a 1:09.4, an improvement. However, it's only good enough for P11, unfortunately. So actually, in the end, not good enough to get us through to Q3, and we are out. But Théo Pourchaire has at least made his way into Q3, so that is something, and hopefully Théo Pourchaire can be our guiding light, much like he was in Monaco. If he can qualify a few more positions up the order, then we could be looking at a good result for the team in that regard. I'm going to be meanwhile looking to make a strong recovery in order to hopefully maximise my points and make sure I don't lose out too much to Leclerc, who actually went fastest in Q2. So we're going to be looking to improve significantly in the race to hopefully minimise the points damage. It's not a fantastic result for us at all. But, you know, that's how Formula 1 goes sometimes. That's how it went at the Monaco Grand Prix. I've been saying leading up to this race, I think if there's going to be any race that's not going to go so well for the next few races or so, it was going to be this one, along with Hungary. They're probably my two weakest tracks within the next sort of 5 or 6 races, including this one. We've got the likes of Britain, France, Austria, races I've all done incredibly well at one way or another in previous years. So yeah, I'm hoping to deliver on those kinds of performances further in future videos. But for now, yeah, you can see that P11 not really good enough for us in the end. We're gonna have to wait to find out where Pourchaire qualified. I'm hoping he did well, but all will be revealed in the race itself. Yeah, we're just waiting now pretty much to get into it. I hope, like I said, that we can make significant improvements. Maybe Leclerc can drop a few places. That would be ideal for me, and then we can really try and fight back for P1 in this championship.
It's time once again then to go racing here in Montreal, the second largest French-speaking city in the world, and home since 1978 to the Canadian Grand Prix. We'll be seeing top speeds of around 210 miles per hour here at the circuit Gilles Villeneuve, with around 2/3 of the lap taken at full throttle. High-speed chicanes spell potential danger, especially at the infamous Wall of Champions, and watch out for overtaking into the hairpin and that final chicane. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Lando Norris will lead us away from pole position, and it's Charles Leclerc in P2. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Sainz, Théo Pourchaire, Daniel Ricciardo, and Joe. Gasly, Ocon, Perez. They'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. And Robinson, Russell, Verstappen. They've taken a grid penalty. Yuki Tsunoda and Fernando Alonso. Lundgaard, Oscar Piastri, Kevin Magnussen and Alex Albon. Mick Schumacher, Latifi, Stroll and Robert Schwartzman. Now it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track. And with me today, of course, is Natalie Pinkham. Let's talk about Robinson. What do you make of their performance so far this season?
Well, they've been avoiding mistakes and have had solid pace, so it's been a good season so far. But whether they can keep that up long term remains to be seen.
After the points finished last race, let's aim to keep that momentum going.
Indeed, I am aiming to keep that momentum going. Someone has had a grid penalty, and that has promoted me up into P10. I believe it was Max Verstappen who's there in P12. This is good for us for two reasons. One, it means that if we can jump Perez off the start, we're almost guaranteed to be outscoring these guys, the Red Bulls, and hopefully moving back up into P2 in the Constructors' Championship. And two, it means that the competition in front of me hopefully won't be as strong, because yeah, Verstappen is a particularly strong driver, and it means that he won't be there to hold me up, hopefully. Unfortunately, we fail our parking there, and now the lights come on. And the lights go out as we switch to the replay camera. You see Théo Pourchaire there in P4. He did have a pretty good qualifying in the end, and he's hoping to get a good start there, challenging with Sainz and also Ricciardo on the inside as well. I've gone up the other side of a million cars there, and now I'm trying to go around the outside of two more, Ricciardo and one of the Mercedes there. And now we're also challenging Sainz as we come on the run up the hill into turn 3 or 4, I believe this is, and he's actually stayed ahead for now. I think that's Lewis Hamilton who's putting pressure on behind us. It absolutely can't be, because he's retired. I don't know why I said that. It's actually Zhou Guanyu, if I'm not mistaken. And yes, we have held on to that position for now. So we find ourselves in P5, no less, at the beginning of this race. Having started P10, we've made up 5 places on the opening lap already, and that is a fantastic result for us. all things considered. However, we still want to make more progress through this race. Leclerc is currently leading it. He's on for 25 points. We're only on for 10. And more than anything, the most important agenda for me in this race is getting ahead of Carlos Sainz ASAP. It is as simple as that, because he is going to be the difference between Ferrari scoring a great heap of points in this race and Ferrari scoring less points in this race. You know, if Leclerc's on for 25, maybe even 26, the fastest lap attempt, we want to do everything we can to make it past Carlos Sainz. And you see now, as we come on to lap 4, we are going to start trying to hunt down Sainz as quickly as we can. Zhou Guanyu behind us. We're going to try and do everything we can to stay in the DRS range of Sainz ahead of us, so we can keep Zhou Guanyu behind. But more than anything, I want to try and get through on him. Whilst my teammate Théo Pourchaire is still granting DRS to him, that is going to be a tall order for us. So we are going to have just bide our time. Starting on the soft compound tyres here when everyone around us was on the mediums has worked a treat. And the other thing that is going to mean is that we are going to be in prime undercut territory. Because we have, you know, started on the softs, and that means that we're going to be pitting on lap 12, and then we're going to be on faster tyres than these guys. They're going to be on old mediums, we're going to be on fresh mediums, which means we're going to have about 4 or 5 laps, I would say, until they pit, where we can just close the gap and close the gap and close the gap, and hopefully come out ahead of a lot of them. If I play my cards right here and we stay within touch, as we find ourselves still pretty well in touch with the leaders on lap 8 of the race, if we play our cards right here and can showcase some good pace on the mediums compared to the cars around us, we could be in a position where we could be challenging for the lead of this race still. From P10 to the lead of this race, I don't know if that's possible, but I guess we'll wait and see. Here we are looking at Yuki Tsunoda, and in a second you are going to see Yuki Tsunoda having a mechanical failure here as we come to the end of lap 9. Yeah, I don't know if it's engine. Looks like engine on account of the fact that the smoke is blazing out of the back of the car, and as the smoke clears, you can see that Yuki Tsunoda has pulled off the track. So that is the first retirement of this Grand Prix on lap 9, and now we find ourselves on lap 12. It's our pit lap, and we're going to be coming in and changing to a set of medium tyres. Nothing really happening so far in this race. I'm going to blitz it all the way into the box. It doesn't matter that I scuff those tyres like crazy trying to slow down for the line. That's the one thing about playing on this assist level that is fantastic, is that you can usually gain a few seconds on the AI just by doing that coming into the pits, because they will slow down, and on some pits you don't need to slow down because the game will slow you down for you. And yeah, slightly abusing the way the game works, I guess, but I'm not going to think about it too much. And yeah, now we are going to find ourselves hopefully trying to perform an undercut on at least Carlos Sainz and hopefully a few more cars. We come on to lap 17, and we're going to see if that has rung true or not. You can see that is Pourchaire in the pits, and that is Sainz in the pits, and that is Norris in the pits. And it looks like Norris is going to come out ahead, as Leclerc has as well. I think Leclerc pit on the previous lap, however. But we have undercut Sainz by a lot, and we've also undercut Pourchaire just about, although he is pressuring all over the back of us for the time being. But while he's trying to warm those tyres up, we're going to see if we can create a gap. If we can drop him by 1 second, then we will be looking at a very strong chance of finishing P3 and P4 in this Grand Prix. If I can't drop him over the next few laps, I feel like the only logical thing to do is to let him go and hopefully maximise the chance of the team scoring points in this race. If I'm squabbling with him, that could allow Sainz to come back into the race and overtake both of us. So yeah, I really don't want to do that. And if he's faster on those hard compound tyres, then obviously I'm going to try and let him through. On lap 20, you see that Sainz has closed the gap quite a lot. I've noticed this, and so we're going to do the logical thing here, and we are going to try and see if Pourchaire has some pace to maybe catch the leaders, or at the very least break away from me, because we don't want to get drawn into a battle with Carlos Sainz here. You see that he's already caught up to about a second behind me, so actually we haven't done a very good job of avoiding being drawn into this battle with Carlos Sainz. But you know, there's a lot left to go in this race, and hopefully we can, if nothing else, maybe we can get some DRS on Pourchaire, and hopefully sort of instill some kind of train with Pourchaire, myself and Sainz for the rest of the race. If we finish P3 and P4, I really don't care. It's just what order we finish in. You can see that I'm pretty close to the back of Pourchaire at the moment, so I really want to do everything I can to just try and stay in touch with him. And if he's going slowly again, then maybe we'll try and swap the cars over once more, and yeah, we can try and see what our pace is going to be like, and see if we can break away from Pourchaire and also break away from Carlos Sainz and consolidate a podium finish here. That would be fantastic from P10. But, you know, there's still 10 laps to go in this race and still anything could happen. You know, one of us could even have a failure or something like that. Fingers crossed, if it's anyone, it's going to be Sainz. But, you know, there's lots of factors to consider in the race that we have to think about. You know, what kind of pace are we going to have on these medium compound tyres towards the end of the race? You know, we're going to be on them for 23 laps in total in this race. The hards are only going to get stronger. The hards could do the whole Grand Prix. I mean, it looked like the mediums could basically do the whole Grand Prix as well, from what it was saying. 31 laps, I think, was the tyre life on them. So that makes me think that potentially the AI have maybe missed a trick here by not going onto the medium tyres for the second stint and starting on the softs like I did. I'm not really sure why they did that. Maybe it was because I had a fresh set of softs that I didn't use in Q3 because I wasn't there, that the rest of them did use. But then again, the AI that started next to me also didn't do that, so I don't know. Here we are now on lap 28. You see the sky's darkening. I think we might not be too far away from some rain, but hopefully it stays dry for the rest of the race. And we're going to try and go around the outside of Théo Pourchaire here. He's going to fight back as we come through to turn 2 and turn 3 as well. And as we come through turn 3, we're going to have the inside line and we're going to pull ahead of him and take P3 back once again. And now we have to try and defend from him whilst also not allowing Sainz to come back into touch with us. That is a thrilling end to the Grand Prix. And now you can see that we are on lap 34 moving into lap 35. At some point during that, Sainz has overtaken Théo Pourchaire and we've actually dropped him by a second, which means I find myself in a pretty comfortable position at the end of this Grand Prix. But still, anything could happen. You know, Carlos Sainz could close us up. If we make a few mistakes, he could be right back in the fight. So I need to do everything I can to try and hold off Carlos Sainz for this one remaining lap and make sure that he doesn't pull any nasty surprises. You know, it's 1.2 seconds, but these tyres will have gone off. Like I was saying, you know, they're on hard tyres, which are going to have much more life in them after they've been driving on them for only 18 laps versus myself, who's been driving on a set of medium compound tyres for 23 laps. I cannot understate how difficult it will be driving on these tyres at this point. I think they're sort of about 50% worn or 60% worn. He's going to have DRS in the final DRS zone. I'm going to have no DRS. I will at least have some battery to burn, but yeah, I'm going to need to drive some very strong corners here. He's now only sort of 5 or 6 tenths behind us. That's gone up to 7 now, but he's going to be closing that down even before the DRS. He's within 6 tenths as we get to the DRS zone, and as we come into the final chicane, looking at the wall of champions, he could be potentially pressuring us here. We're going to have to do everything we can to try and hold him off. We brake early, we take the run through. We actually got a bit wide there, and that's going to cost us some time, and he's pulling alongside us. He's going to have the DRS. We're burning the battery. Who's going to cut across the line first? It's going to be Carlos Sainz! Oh, wow. That was a thrilling end to the Grand Prix, and whilst I am utterly disappointed that it wasn't us that took the P3 in the end, I still would say that's a pretty strong race from our end. You know, we got P4 and we started P10, so that was 6 places made up, and it's a 1-3 for Ferrari, so that is disappointing in that regard, but wow, what an absolutely mega end to that race.
How do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
I think it was clear what the main contributing factor out of the track was. Speed. It sounds like an awfully reductive statement, but fast cars win races, and we saw that today with our winner.
And here we are, a team that is no stranger to the podium, taking their place on top once again. A sublime race today, and a stunning win for Ferrari.
Fair play to Ferrari, fair play to Leclerc. That is going to be another 13-point swing in the championship in favour of Charles Leclerc. He is going to be about 15 points ahead in the championship now. I'm not exactly sure of the numbers, but it's going to be somewhere around there. And yeah, we're going to have a big task if we want to fight back against him in this championship, because you know, he is just he is a really tough customer right now, and yeah, we don't have much in the tank.
Currently leading the championship standings, extends his lead even further with this result. Let's focus on the driver of the day, Natalie Pinkham. Come on, who do you pick?
I have to give it to Robinson. They did a great job at getting the very most out of the tyres without losing pace. Something that's a very handy skill to have in modern Formula One.
It's time to check out the constructors' standings. Ferrari continue to extend the gap at the top of the table. Meanwhile, good work from the owner-drivers team this weekend, who pushed themselves further up the order. Well, what an end to another fantastic weekend of racing. Thanks to everyone who joined us, and we'll see you for the next one.
So we find ourselves back in P2 in the constructors standings. Drivers standings wise, like I said, we're still pretty far behind Charles Leclerc, so we're going to need a run of good fortune in these following races. You know, we've got some strong ones coming up soon, including Britain, which is one that I am immensely looking forward to. We finally have a front-running car in every sense of the word. The AI is very strong now, however, so I don't think we're going to have it all our way, but this is one of my strongest tracks on the entire calendar, if not my strongest track on the entire calendar, save for maybe Saudi Arabia, which I still find myself having very comfortable races in at this point in the career mode. So yeah, those are probably my two strongest races on the calendar. And yeah, if we can't get a good result in Britain, I think we're really going to struggle over the course of the rest of the season. You know, I don't think we're like I said, I don't think we're going to have it all our way. I think we will definitely have some customer come in and try and knock me off the top spot. But I am prepared to fight with everything I have to ensure that we can hold on to that. Yeah, other than that, it was a very exciting race, honestly. You know, there was a lot of drama. There was me hassling Sainz at the beginning of the race and not really making any inroads. There was the undercut, very strong strategy from the team on that regard. I'm not really sure why they put me on that strategy and Pourchaire on a different strategy. But yeah, here's the overtake attempt from Pourchaire that you're seeing now, as I managed to hold him off. And then on the following lap, he managed to get ahead of us, but they didn't want to show that for some reason. They don't know why they wouldn't show an overtake like that, but they didn't. So yeah, that is pretty much all she wrote for the Canadian Grand Prix. It was a good one. But I'm disappointed that we couldn't hold on to that P3 at the end. You know, I'm very, very mixed emotions that I'm feeling right now, I guess you could describe it as. It's this sort of, you know, high of, oh, we made up 6 places in the race and ended up getting a good result. But I'm wondering what the result could have been if I'd have just let Pourchaire be. Perhaps we could have retained P4 nonetheless. But it could have been P3 for the team instead of P5 in that other position. Here's my overtake on Pourchaire now. I'm the one with the medium tyres on the right. You can see that is getting ahead of Pourchaire, and yeah, just really disappointing that you can see there, literally photo finish basically. You know, if my car had a tongue like Lightning McQueen in the movie Cars, then perhaps I would have got crossed the line first, but I guess we'll never know. Anyway, that is pretty much all she wrote. You can see that Leclerc is starting to move along in the rivalry. We're going to have to try and do everything we can in the next couple of races to really fight him back and close him down. And you know, I really want to do this because I feel like with how much the AI has improved season on season, this season feasibly could be our only chance to win the Drivers' Championship. I really hope that we can continue to fight in future seasons. But my optimism is not particularly high when I've seen how strong the AI is in this season. We might have to start altering the difficulty by more. That is going to be it for this video, however. If you enjoyed, please make sure you like and subscribe, and hopefully I will see you in the next one.